Hello, this video contains some heavy Dune Part 2 and some slight Dune Messiah spoilers, so click away if you haven't seen the movie.
Him saying, like, take them to paradise at the end, I was like, Jesus Christ,
Well,
that
I mean,
is
literally,
horrifying.
he is saying,
Horrifying.
he's like, the only way that I can see this going is it has to be a jihad. I was thinking about how by this time, most years, everyone has lost their New Year's resolution. They haven't done it. They've stopped. Right?
Yeah.
So with a lot of people probably saying, I'm done with my diet. I'm not saying that either of us specifically said we were doing that, but what's like one health version of something that in no way satisfies you the way the real thing does? Like, what's like the worst one that people are like, it's like the same? Like, what's your most hated, like, this is a better version for you food?
Oh. Yeah. This is an irrational one, so let me preface it with it's an irrational one. I hate plant-based things that are trying to be anything other than what they are. Like,
okay, so you're talking like Impossible meat.
Impossible is fine, but like when it's like, I made vegan a buffalo mac and cheese drumsticks, and then they make the tofu or whatever the hell, the jackfruit, whatever, into the shape of a drumstick, and everything's like, this is too much. What are we doing here? What are we doing? To me, things are so much better when you create them in the form that they already come with. Like, make good jackfruit recipes. Make good mushroom. I like tofu. So just make it good.
No. I think that's
veggies are good.
I will say, until you get to a Beyond or an Impossible burger situation, because I will say,
I mean, I'll slam an Impossible burger. Yeah,
you slam those. Just like you do a normal, normal smash burger, those things are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I do think, like when they're trying to be like, no, for real though, this is chicken though. Don't worry about it. It's chicken. Like, but they're like, yeah, no, it's not chicken. It's like it's not. I do agree. And also buffalo cauliflower, like breaded fried cauliflower is good enough.
Yeah. I was about to say like buffalo anything was maybe a bad example because it's good always.
That one does slap. Yeah. But I do agree. It's like, I'd rather have just a simpler version of like, maybe a leaner protein or whatever than most of the health food options. Like, and also it's like reduced sugar stuff where it's like, hey, this is an Oreo cookie, but it's reduced sugar. It's like, well, but it don't matter if it's an entire fucking row. Yeah. No matter how much you're reducing that sugar, if I'm down in that entire row, doesn't matter.
Not good. It's still not good.
It doesn't matter. This is the DMGT podcast. Danny, I think the audience might have realized, but we're not as, let's say, methodical. We're not as, obviously objective, just really reporting the facts, no opinions as much for today. We're doing a little bit of something we haven't done in a while. We're just going to talk about a movie.
And you already know which one it is, baby.
Yep. We're finally going to give our full review of Barbie. And let's just say Danny has extremely controversial opinions. Scorching hot. No, just kidding.
I Am Ken sucks.
Ooh.
Terrible song.
Oh, whoa. No. I don't think you want to.
Not enough dudes.
I don't even
not
want
enough dudes in that montage.
I don't even think it's not even worth pretending. It's one of those things. Not even worth pretending.
You're right.
Which is annoying because it's like, it is a fun little fun movie. But no, we're talking Dune 2.
Dune 2, baby.
We're going to talk to Dune. And we know that you might not have seen it, and this is going to be a spoiler.
This is going to be a spoiler heavy. So if you haven't seen it, Dune 2,
just don't
save
listen.
this episode for later, for a different time until after you watch it, because we're going to go in.
We're going to go.
That was your
we're
spoiler
gonna go
warning.
That is the spoiler warning. So Danny, because you pitched me, you were like, because I'm always down to talk movies, as much as I am to talk video games or any of the technology, because one thing is like we both really love movies. And we both really love sci-fi. So you were like, hey, what if I haven't been able to talk enough about Dune in the way that I want to. What if we just use our podcast to do that? And then
why not?
Then I don't even think I said yes. I think I just sent back, here's the top 11 formats that are ranked by Forbes.com of how to see part 2. And that was the only thing I sent back was, hey, I've already been thinking about it. I might have a couple thoughts.
I was like, this is perfect. Let's we save them here. A quick aside, we legitimately save a lot of our opinions that we would normally have just like spoken with each other. For this.
Oh yeah, like we don't really text about any technology stuff. Yeah, we really don't. Occasionally we send music back and forth.
Yeah.
Or we'll be like, hey, does anybody want to go do this? Like, go to this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, we never talk about the experiences of those things. So yeah. So I technically don't know where it is for you, but I think I feel like it's highly positive on your end.
Yeah. So do you want like my quick? Let's just get into it. Okay. I am fucking obsessed with this world now.
Oh no.
Like
now and we'll hold up. So Danny, by obsessed with the world of Dune, you mean specifically I saw both Dune movies and I really like them because have you read the books?
I have not read the books.
Are you okay. Have you seen the other adaptations of Dune?
I have not seen the other adaptations yet.
So you're kind of like a newbie.
I'm 100%.
You're like a Dooney. You're like a Dooney.
Straight up Dooney. I like
You're a new Dooney.
I'm Dune to things right. I don't know.
You're Dune Nukem.
Yes, Dune Nukem.
Early Dune. Early in like.
So very baby Dune fan here. But no, I'm like getting the first trilogy on Friday.
Nice.
Hardcover. I'm just gonna like lean in. I'm just leaning all the way. And I was like, I need more. I saw like a couple of videos that like, hey, these books are like super dense, and it's fair if like they're kind of confusing to watch. Some of the hardcore or like people that are like understand a little bit more, some of the videos that I've been seeing is like, it's actually nice to see the movie. One of the few instances where it's nice to now have seen these two movies and then go into the books, because now there's like a baseline general understanding of some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I'm in. Like, oh, you're basically just trying to like explain how magic works. This is why people are getting confused, because then you're explaining some stuff but not explaining other stuff. To me, that sounds great.
Yeah. And so like I have read the first 3 Dunes, but I read them far before the first Dune. When it was when it was announced. I was like, oh, I'm gonna rip through these because I love Denis Villeneuve. Spoiler alert. So much to talk about. Is that exactly how to say his name? No one knows. Even in interviews when people say his name, I'm like, you kind of went quiet on that last name. Everyone, we've all figured out it's definitely Denis.
It's Denis, yeah.
But the rest, it's like that's like every interview I see. They're like crinkling their paper by their microphone as they say it, just so it like doesn't get caught up. But so I love all of his movies, and we're going to talk about some of his other movies. We have to, because why not? Mm-hmm. But I think you're totally right in the sense of the people who really are obsessed with Dune. That is a great opinion of like, this will help you with reading Dune, because as someone who I've really only read I haven't gotten into like deep sci-fi genre at the time I read Dune. I was like starting to really get into more sci-fi literature. I had kind of, and then Dune is so confusing.
That seems to be the consensus, even from like
yeah.
the people that are like, "Hey, I've read this like 4 times." It's still super confusing.
Dune is a book that, as I have read it, when I was reading the first one, like it is a jarring style. It doesn't feel like it's so specific. Nothing really feels like it. I would actually say something that kind of feels close in terms of this weird scope. Red Rising, not necessarily in like this is one of the most important stories, whatever.
Sure,
like people hold Dune there, but if you want like something else too, I think you'd like that. But man,
yeah, I'm halfway through Red Rising, and it's a good book so far.
Yeah, Dune's one of those books where you start reading it and you go, "Did I miss a book?" And you're like, "No, this is Dune." This novel I'm reading is Dune. It feels as if I missed a book.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
that's how it will feel. Like it starts and you're like, wait, he's sticking his hand in a little box, and what the fuck is going on? That's like literally like they're just like, yeah, he's like, and if he moves, he's gonna explode with poison. Who knows? It's magic.
It feels that feels like how I felt after watching Dune 1 the first time in 2019 or 2020. I came out of this movie. I had to calm myself down on that ride back. I don't know if everyone like loved it though at the way that
I was just
made. Like,
thinking
am I crazy?
No,
am
no,
I
no,
the
I
one?
was-
Am I the crazy one? Do I need to chill out? I'm gonna chill out here because. No, people are like, everyone else in the car is like, yeah, this was good. It was cool. I was like, no, it was amazing. It was fucking so good.
I will say, I think that might have been just specifically Jay. I feel like Jay knew he didn't have the same strong opinion, and he was trying to be nice about it, but like you could tell his heart wasn't totally in it.
Yeah, no, which is fair, and I'm also like, you know what? Here's the thing. We're gonna be all over the place here. Music Box Theater, because we saw it at the Music Box Theater here in Chicago, which is like a very like old school legacy type movie theater situation here in the city. I think part of it was, I think about halfway through the movie, I was forcing myself to not think about how uncomfortable I was in that seat and in that room.
So
it was hot as hell, and we were sitting on like a 1960, like the first generation of airplane seats.
Yeah, I mean,
and they haven't been
actually
updated.
not like the first generation of airplane seats, like the worst version of it, because the first generation of airplane seats were great. So there was less people on planes. But yeah, like it is a like old school antique type of movie house that really like tries to go for the classic movie house, because it is one. And for that, it is great theater.
Cool.
It is my favorite theater to go to, because it's the best theater in Chicago that does like movie series like of specific directors, or they'll bring interesting things to Music Box. Like directors will come and premiere movies at it. It's like the most important movie theater in Chicago, I would say. There's probably ones that I don't know about, but like of like the north side, let's say. So like
I'm never going to watch a blockbuster there again.
So that was the mistake we made. Don't watch a new technical Marvel. Now, the benefit of seeing it there was it was a 70 millimeter film print. And I will say it was not the visual part of the presentation that upset me. It was the sound, knowing the sound is Atmos, and knowing how good the sound design is in the first movie. You did not get that punishing sound experience that I would say like a non a non movie that was there before the talkies, movie theater, like a retrofitted movie theater. Basically, it's like big, like it's such a big space,
very antique, very old school, like old before motion picture theater type situations, like the feel in general. It's a cool place.
Love it. Go there all the time. I wouldn't see Dune there again.
I did not love it, but that's just me. So all of that, the 70 millimeter, the film, I thought the picture looked great. I personally do think that you can tell the difference between film and digital. I think there are like moments in especially when you get like some of the scenes with like there's a lot of fine tiny detail happening. I'm thinking specifically the from the sky view of the Harkonnen arena when Fade is
Yeah.
about to like fight the other Atreides, and
Yeah.
then the shot of what's it what's his oh my god,
There's a lot of people in it. Paul Atreides.
Paul. Why did I forget Paul? When
He's
Paul's walking
just
through,
a new Duner.
when he's walking through the crowd of people at the main city or whatever, and it's like, and it gives you the straight overhead shot of all the heads. It's like edge to edge screen. You for sure, even the nicest IMAX digital laser will give you a little tiny bit of artifacting in those scenes.
It can,
and
yeah,
crisp on real film, man. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Those scenes
now,
in particular, I think, is where it shined the most.
Now, Danny, did you know Dune 2 shot on digital IMAX?
I didn't. I don't think I knew. Maybe we talked about this.
I am
remember.
almost positive, but
you're right. You're right. We did talk about this.
I feel like we talked about it, and at that point, I had fact checked myself, but I now don't trust my fact check.
In that case, then I have no idea what I'm talking. No, you still get artifacting on the
no. There's still a better. Yeah. It was shot entirely. This is what it says. Collider.com. Shot entirely on IMAX digital cameras.
Okay. Fair.
But they did press it on 70 millimeter IMAX film. The
how big do you think
IMAX.
that file is? How big do you think that file is?
It's got to be big as heck. It's got to be big as heck.
Like 150 gigs just for the movie?
Easy. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
it has to be. And maybe that's probably compressed.
And it's also like they downsample some of the digital effect shots because they can't always full, you know what I mean? Like there's so many factors that go into it. Like pure unadulterated, the film is it's got to be at least 500
terabyte.
gigs. Yeah, maybe a terabyte.
Maybe a terabyte.
Insane.
Dude, it's so goddamn good.
Yeah. Though it is cool that they do a digital to analog conversion for the film format, so there is still benefits to doing it, but it is interesting that it's like movies now that aren't shot on film are being released on film because it's still a really valid way to see a movie in a very high quality.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like and it looks like a movie shot on film. I gotta say, like, he is a painter.
Oh man, dude knows how to the framing. I don't know if we got like as pretty landscape big wide shots that we did in Dune 1. I think that was my favorite part of Dune 1.
Yep, closer.
A lot more closer in, but the framing and like there are individual frames and like it felt like pieces of art, like stills.
Yeah.
That were, I think they did much better in Dune 2 as a result. So maybe the scale wasn't quite there, but the framing and the pictures and like the direction that they took with some of the shots, so cool. So the Harkonnen planet, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with how they handled the skin tones, the dark areas, like all the little details there that still gave us detail in a place that really shouldn't have that detail because it's black and white, basically.
Now, Danny,
and then the natural skin tones and stuff. Yeah.
Danny, the Harkonnen world.
Yes.
How do you think they did that?
That's.
I was reading it, and
idea.
Again, I would need to pull it up again. It was like an interview I watched, but it was something I read, like on somewhere. But they were just removing parts of light until it became black and white. And I think so, like what they were filtering out different spectrum of light to get the natural look of the lighting to look black and white.
That's so
and
cool.
Like it was makeup and it was like how they set design.
Sure, yeah.
So because it's not like he is always black and white. It's just on the Harkonnen planet. they were just thinking how, like, if we have infrared light, we have the light that we have, but if it's another planet, light doesn't necessarily, they don't have to have been sustained how we are sustained, because it's
Right.
a Dune world. They don't look like
yeah.
perfect, they look different.
Yeah, they've evolved and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So isn't that cool?
That's so cool. Dude.
Like, and if
that is so cool.
if that's actually, like, that sounds insane, but there's so much stuff coming out still. Like, there's so many more like long form interviews coming out, because they usually hold those until the movie's released. Like,
right.
it is a freaking buffet on like YouTube of him just talking in intense depth, and the cinematographer. It is so much fun for a movie like this to hear about the craft.
Yeah, I think the all of that was just the color, the vibrancy, and the contrast that you get in locations that you wouldn't think you'd get that level of detail, because Dune itself is like a very brown, deserty planet and landscape, but there's still like depth of color and contrast, which I think is really impressive. Shout out to the lighting and all the teams that worked on that. Same thing with the Harkonnen planet. God, just there's very little for me to critique of this film, and there are things, but I came out of that movie saying like it's too soon, and I need to watch this a couple more times, and I'm gonna watch it again this week for sure, because this requires multiple watches for me, at least. I came out of that movie going like, I don't know about, in this moment, saying, and even now a couple of days later, greatest movie of all time. I think some people were like tossing that out there a little loosely. I'm like, I don't know if I'm there, but I would not argue with that person, is where I'm at right now.
Of all time.
Of all time. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But those are like the feelings that I'm coming out.
We're not even saying like
from this movie.
We're not even saying sci-fi movie. We're saying just full stop.
No. I'm saying for me, nothing has made, like, I have not come out of a theater feeling that good about what I just watched.
Okay.
In a long time.
I mean, that's okay. But like, that is because I haven't looked at that part of the internet. I just think when any time that's what people are instantly saying, it's like, whoa, that's crazy. So I was like, but like, yeah, I think.
But it's crazy, but not in a way of like, okay, guys, everybody relax. To me, it's like, that's a little crazy and a little early, because it absolutely is early to be saying anything like that. I think we need to like let it simmer and let it kind of sit for a little bit. But the initial hype, and then a couple of days later, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like kill you for it though. This isn't like, it's not like you're coming out of, I don't know, Infinity War saying this is the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah, it's
like,
different. It is different.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I think, like, I think the thing about Dune 2, because I don't have anything really at all bad to say. I love the movie. Like, I know I don't know if I've overtly stated that. Really love the movie. Like, yeah,
for a second I was like, are we not on the same page?
No, we are. I was just more sorry. I hadn't actually said that. I think like, no, I'm big into Dune 2 and Dune 1. I am just big into.
I didn't even love Dune 1. I was very middling on Dune 1.
I think that's the really cool thing. Like, that you were like, Dune 1's fine, and then you're obsessed with Dune 2, because like, for me, I mean, I just rewatched Dune 1 and I was like, God damn, Dune 1 is a good movie. Like, I really love Dune 1. And I think
I might have a more of an appreciation now.
I have been thinking about why. So, and if I've ever had a similar experience, because I love Dune 2. Like, and I really do think like it's like this weird mixture of breathlessly paced, but also it doesn't feel that way in like in a way that I really only think Denis, like, it's like he has his own speed, and like his speed, even when it's like I need to move quick to get through a lot of stuff, or when it's like I have more time here, Dune 1 and Dune 2,
it ebbs and flows.
It's
nicely.
Like his speed version of all of those things are signature to him, right? The way that he like placed in humor in Dune 2 where Dune 1 didn't really have a lot. It had one or two winks, you know. And there's a little more overt humor here.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to hit themes of the novel and themes of it's supposed to sound ridiculous because it is ridiculous. Right. Like, so I think like, and it wasn't to the point of quip land of an Infinity War, right? It's still like a movie. And I think with him and with like these types of part 1 and part 2 movies, I find myself usually gravitating more towards the part 1. So to put it because I was like, what's the closest? The closest would be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows part 1 and 2. Because very much similar to Dune, it is a movie that is adapting technically it's the end of all of the books, but it's also a pretty contained thing, right? It is the 7th Harry Potter book that you can pick up anytime. You know what I mean? So it is still like a pretty similar in my head, but because I like the parts of these types of world where a majority of the time is spent living in it and seeing it and discovering it and like just being there with the characters and getting to understand where they're coming from and having the time to see the decisions that they're making and what they're not making and like, you know, moments to breathe, right? I think Dune 1, that's why I called it like before we went and saw Dune 2, I was like, Dune 1 is just an ultimate vibes movie for me. Because not a lot happens if you just go beat by beat by beat. There's 12 of it, you know, it's like pretty.
It's
boom,
basically
boom, boom.
straight outside of like the that initial attack or about the attack. It's literally just straight world building. It's just a straight world building movie.
Right. Yeah. And Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 did a similar thing where it's just like they're like camping a lot of the movie because they're like trying to stay off the radar, stay off the grid kind of thing. And I'm like, this is interesting because it really is about what it has done to these characters, the events before, how they are affecting them now. And that's really the heart of what it is.
Yeah.
And I think those are always just really interesting parts of stories, you know, like,
yeah.
And so like, for me, I'm like less thinking like Dune 1 and Dune 2 as separate things, right? Because when I think Dune 2,
it's one
greatest
story,
movie of all time, I'm like, I think you have to call Dune just both of them as Dune, because it has to be both in my head. Like, I don't think I could rank
fair,
in my like
one,
pantheon of movies. Like, I would be like, no, it's my together. I feel like they have to be that way.
Well, it's kind of like I understand the Lord of the Rings references now because it's like it's what basically set the standard for high fantasy on the Lord of the Rings side. Where like Dune, I'm like, oh, I understand now. Like, oh, this is why this set the standard or influenced all of sci-fi basically.
Yeah.
All of modern sci-fi, I should say specifically.
Yeah.
But it's one story. Like these are individual books. We're talking about 2 books here that now have 5 films. So like it's when I think Lord of the Rings, you can't separate them because it's like it's a whole saga basically. It's a whole like epic. It's an epic. And just like Dune here will be.
And what's my favorite Lord of the Rings? It's Fellowship of the Ring.
That's my favorite one. Your favorite.
That is my favorite one. That is my favorite one. I love it.
Remember
I love
how,
when there's just time to chill.
Remember how those 3 movies came out a year apart from each other?
Yeah, I do. And do you remember that my school did because that was still when it was midnight was when it released. Midnight, not 10. Midnight, not 6 p.m. the day before. Not normal movie theater times on Thursdays. Like, it's like, really, we're earlier.
Straight up midnight, yeah.
Yeah. It was straight midnight, and I'm 13, right? Because 2003, Christmas time. Not only did I see Return of the King with my school, but we had an entire movie day where we watched the first 2 extended and then timed it so we got to the movie theater for midnight. And so cool. I still have never been more tired like watching a movie in my life.
I bet.
And I will say, what a terrible way to experience the first time, being so grumpy and 13, having like holding hands with like a 7th grade girlfriend. You're a 7th grader, holding hands is a big deal, and then being like, okay, so it's over, I can finally go to sleep, and then wait, it's coming back. Wait, fading back in, but they just faded to black. That's end of the movie. All right, well, okay, I guess. I mean, it's a big long journey. Okay, all right, I'm fade. Okay, so now it's all right. One more fade out. Okay,
they did that a couple of times,
dude. That was not okay.
What? Yeah.
But it does feel like that, where it's like we are telling you this bigger story, and it's on purpose. Because I think that's a lot of the things with sequels to movies now, is sequels doesn't necessarily have to mean we need to continue telling you the story we're telling you. Sequels just mean this one made money, so now there's a second one.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always like movies that or when adaptations or things are planned that way.
And this one makes sense because it stems from a source of like artistic integrity to the story, right? Like, it's not because they didn't know if Dune 1 was going to this first readaptation was going to be successsul. I don't call it a remake because it's just a newer adaptation.
Yeah, it's not a remake. It's not a remake.
So it's like it's equally as important to have all this depth, especially in the first one now. Like I have a deeper appreciation now, but the second one, I think for me, I think there are a couple of things that's doing it for me. It's all the themes on like obviously the classic, like all the themes on imperialism, colonialism, it being the antithesis to the white savior, or basically a like cautionary tale about a white savior, but also all the themes about like religion and oppression and fanaticism and
thought,
fighting
like how
back
people,
out of a place
propaganda,
of need. Yes,
manipulation,
propaganda, like manipulation, all of that, like handled that pretty well. And part of my minor critiques are like sometimes it hits you over the head with it a little bit too much. So it's like a couple of times during the movie, it's almost jarring where they're like, hey, this is a thing that we're manipulating, just so you know, audience, because you're all fucking stupid. Is like basically what it felt like at times.
What parts felt that way?
Just
I do think
Zendaya's character, and I know this is a change from the books a little bit, but Zendaya's character repeatedly, multiple times, straight up says, "This is how they enslave us. This is how they will control us. They're becoming who's our new oppressor?" Cut to Timothée Chalamet. Like some of that stuff was not like bad. I'm not saying it was straight up bad or anything like that. Just like it's like, okay, I got it. I got it. Like the first time you did this in Dune 1, like I kind of understood this is where we were going, right? Because this house Atreides is coming in. These are like we're doing like the low class, high class system. Straight up, like, hey, Arakan is my fief. Like there's all the languages there. It's like telling you, but I think sometimes people like, and I know why. Like I've been watching some of Denis interviews and like, hey, Frank Herbert, like initially this book was misinterpreted as like, oh my God, Paul Atreides is the hero. And he's like, no, you idiots. This is not what I'm telling you here. So here's Dune Messiah. To give you all that stuff.
And I also think it's
not a huge criticism, but it's like that's like the one minor thing I had.
Yeah,
that's all.
And I think the thing with Dune is like it for like a book that feels as if it could have been written more recently than it has. Like when you read it doesn't feel old. The things that feel old is like, yeah, there's still not like the most agency from female characters. Like there's some,
right,
sure.
Right.
And they did mess around with some of that part, but like I think it's like you have to. That's one thing. It's like, how does that pay off more? Sure. I think is maybe one thing that could happen. And I know they kind of like hint at, well, there's like a we can do another, we can do plenty more movies if we want to. And so they kind of hit that that's something that we're going to still find out more about, which is fine. But yeah, I do think like there could have been something that was a little more direct. Like maybe there could have been a more direct reckoning with that. There was kind of little bits and pieces of it, but like maybe him really letting her understand where he's coming from and how he knows that is against like what she's saying.
That happened
like
very quickly. Yeah.
Like there could have been more there, but that's again like that's just sometimes how a movie that has so much to get through has to go.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. No.
I would say definitely wasn't it's like the Marvel. Hey, all women only in this shot, which is a cool thing, and I love the image of it, right? But it was like you don't feel like you even care to believe this. You're just doing it to check a box, and I don't think this felt that pandery. Like no,
this one does not feel pandery at all. It's just my criticism here is less about it feeling pandering. It's more about unfortunately audiences can't interpret subtlety anymore, which is unfortunate because I do think sometimes art suffers for it, because then some people will like, I mean, I'm already seeing videos right now saying like, oh, this is just another white savior movie. It's like, did we watch the same goddamn movie? Because this is straight up not that. People, come on. Are you kidding me? For a story that was written in 1963 or when it was originally released? Like,
yeah, like something like that.
Honestly, pretty damning of like, things that we don't love about the American imperialist system. Anyways, that's it. Otherwise, like, dude, all of those themes still hit really, really hard. I think so. Some of the details in the shots that they were doing, like the mountain of burning bodies at the beginning of the film, where the Harkonnen were burning the Atreides, and then you flip that at the end, and it was the Fremen doing it to the Harkonnen, where in the beginning of the movie they spent like 15 minutes showing you like, hey, we have to take the water from our enemies because water is so precious,
right? And
it devolves so far into fanaticism that they're just burning the bodies now.
Yeah
I think that was such a powerful thing. Him saying like, take them to paradise at the end. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that is literally
horrifying.
He is saying
horrifying.
He's like, the only way that I can see this going is it has to be a jihad.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, jihad is a really intense thing to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like just it's like fanaticism and logical thought that's the thing that like I think Chani, the character of Chani is like portraying in the movie, where it's like,
yes,
it's like she's a well-respected person. Like she is not like a scrub in the Fremen community.
Yeah,
she's like a very important part of the tribe. And once it turns over and everyone starts getting fanatical, you just see that they go from her being the center of like the social rung of like really having all that to her being someone
very
who seems
quickly outcast. Yeah.
It's I think it's interesting to show like when you're screaming into like what he's saying is you can't scream down fanaticism.
No.
Right. And I think that's where the message starts to get more interesting, because I think Denis, Mr. V, as we all call him, Mr. V, he is painterly. Like the way that he frames is very painterly. Like that's the thing I always think about his movies. But then he's also
describing it.
He imbues things with his movies are full of emotion, but I wouldn't say they are overly emotional.
Right.
Like he doesn't try to overstate the emotions. He lets like the visuals, like he's a visual storytelling is what he's most interested in.
Yeah.
Dialogue is not it. Like
the face show and the body acting, so good. Like incredible.
Yeah, I mean like he's a master, and I think like is Dune as a movie, Dune 2, greatest movie of all time? No. There's too many movies. Like I can't say that, but I think it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies like Dune together, like I'm definitely gonna like watch these movies every once in a while. Like, and I think it could be something where people get super obsessed with it, and it's like their sci-fi movie, right? Like, and I think
This
that's-
might be this iteration of it. I think is going to be potentially this younger generations like Star Wars, like what Star Wars was to us, or what Lord of the Rings was to some of us.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite Harry Potter, because that one's like
Harry
a little
Potter is
different.
just like its own. Yeah,
it's like
but
it's like Disney adult version.
but with all of that,
Yeah,
I will say I can't even say that this is my favorite Mr. V movie, because if you all have only seen Dune, watch
the rest of
every
his filmography,
single
dude.
movie he's ever made. There has not been like his movies really make you want to talk about them, and sometimes have strong opinions about them. And not
what's your
everybody
favorite?
agrees.
What's your favorite Denis movie then?
Arrival.
I have
it's
mine.
Arrival.
It's Arrival.
It's Arrival.
That's cool. I
I
like that.
think
That's
Arrival
a good choice.
is one of the. I think.
good choice.
I think the crazy thing is, this guy is so good at making sci-fi that it isn't, in my opinion, Dune altogether is still his second best sci-fi movie.
That's
Because
crazy.
Arrival
That's
is number
crazy.
one. Amy Adams
That's crazy.
deserves every
Amy Adams
Oscar
was great.
ever.
She was
ever.
so good.
That movie is the best, most interesting sci-fi movie of the last 25 to 30 years.
I love Blade Runner.
I love Blade Runner 2049. And he's an
man.
incredible adapter.
The
like-
color in that too was great.
So good.
Even the non-sci-fi, like Sicario.
Sicario is one of the best. The dude does not miss. Prisoners, that movie is really intense, and it's not a movie you see a bunch of times. Like,
I've not seen Prisoners yet.
Oh.
I do hear crazy things about it.
dude. And then Enemy, I will say, is really super interesting, and you will have an opinion about it. Some people think it's a masterpiece, some people don't. I'm like, I don't think that movie got me into a lot of fights with my friends. Like, we all argued about that movie like a ton.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's just like, it's an intense, interesting movie. Yeah, he's great. I mean, I can't. The only thing is, like, I'm like, I want you to do a bunch of other stuff. Don't keep doing Dune movies only. You know, like, don't go right into another Dune movie. Cash your check, buddy.
I think he has said straight up, like, if Dune Messiah gets greenlit, he has straight up said, I want to do a different movie in between. Like, I don't want to go straight into it.
Good, because, you know, to circle back to Barbie here. This is supposed to be about Barbie. Greta Gerwig is another one of my favorite working directors, and she's going from what it sounds like. She's going right into adapting Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which sounds cool.
Interesting.
She's cool, and I think she also is great at adapting stuff. But wouldn't it be cool to like have her do whatever she wanted? Much like him, I'm like, hey, you got it. You now have your 4-quadrant blockbusters hit.
Yeah.
Like, because COVID kind of hamstringed your first one. Blade Runner 2049 technically is a failure, like financially.
That's still
it's
crazy.
so crazy. Well, it's because, Danny, it's a 3-hour-long movie that has like 25 words in it. like most of it is just like
that's
just
true.
like slow cyberpunk walking, and it's so good because of it. That's why it's so good. But it's not like it was like a talkie.
No.
And also, Blade Runner, the original, not a mainstream movie that everyone loves.
That's true.
It's a weird fucking movie.
I always forget that sci-fi is not necessarily like super mainstream.
It's not always
like
successful.
Wars,
It's most of the time outside of Star Wars, it's not successful if it isn't just a straight action version of something, right?
Yeah. Interlinked.
But like I do think I'd be more interested for him to do a couple movies, because I think there's plenty of time that passes next point in the story. Like, who cares?
This is a good point, because I do think like Timothée Chalamet like aged into what his character in this one needed to be a little bit better because of some distance between these two.
I mean, you still grow up in the age range that he is. Like, you still, like, he just looks more he looked a little more filled out.
Yeah.
Like, which I was like, I kind of needed it. Like, it was fine for the first one because he is supposed to be like 16.
This one, that's like, it's not like he was huge and buff, but okay, I believe it now that this is like a guy that basically manipulates and steals on this godlike identity.
Because we're talking about someone who
crazy
is 28 right now. 28 right now.
Yeah.
So like you're like right out of college. You still sometimes people look real young.
Yeah. I mean, go look at any rookie photo of an NBA player, and then just like 3 years later into the league.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild. But then there's the occasional like NBA player that looks 40 years old, like former Phoenix Sun power forward that they traded away. I forget. Like just recently, like he's currently playing. Anyways, Jay's gonna roast us. But yeah, it's I think Dune 2 was a heck of a movie.
One of my favorite sequels of all time, and even as like this is one movie, one film. God damn, I loved Dune 2. I loved it. It was really good. I don't know what else I can really say. The him riding the sandworm and like doing that for the first time, done so well.
I think that's the thing about
the moments in the tent. Super important.
This movie we have been talking for almost 50 minutes,
and we've barely talked about.
We have not talked about the plot at all because this movie, like, this is what he does. This is why his movies are so. I think why he is like one of the most.
They're very philosophical,
interesting and vital directors currently working. Like he is the right now's generation of filmmaker. He is the one. Like in my opinion, like he has with his filmography, he's put himself in very rare air.
Yeah.
And we have a couple directors working right now that are kind of in there. Greta Gerwig being one of them. But like it's a small club.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's so nice to have this type of artist working and getting to take these huge swings.
It's so good.
Because not many people, you know what I mean? Like, it's just...
I wonder if this is what people felt like coming out of, like, The Godfather 2.
They did, yes, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like...
That's so cool.
Yeah, like, coming out of a movie going, like, man, this dude is at the top of his game, and everyone understands the game that was in that movie and gave him what he needed.
Yeah.
Like, wrangling all the different characters, storylines... Interesting casting throughout, just interesting casting, like mistakes. I thought, like, to quickly just touch on some performances, like Zendaya, I think is awesome. I would love to see more Zendaya action. I'm in 100%. Timothée Chalamet, I really liked him in this movie and in Dune, really and good. I'm not like,
I don't love everything Timothée Chalamet does.
Partisan Chalamet. Like I don't
but
have
he was
big opinions
fantastic
either way. Fantastic. Javier Bardem.
Him and Zendaya were great. Javier Bardem. Oh my god.
Come on.
He was fun. He was so fun.
And also
Lisa Naldaib.
Austin Butler. I think he's really annoying as a person, but really good. I liked it a lot. Stellan Skarsgård.
What do you mean?
Incredible. Léa Seydoux. Loved her.
Oh, Léa Seydoux was great.
Don't always get to see her. And then Florence Pugh. I was like, oh man, you are like a space queen. Like, and then I loved one thing about her, like design, like, cause you only get like 3 takes of her in the movie basically, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like every single time her headpiece gets crazier and it's like,
it's
almost like cool. One of those like SNL sketches where they just put on a bigger and bigger hat or whatever. It kind of felt that way. Cause it was like, there's like a little thing and then it was like whole head. Then it was like big thing.
The final like metal dress armor situation was like, this is cool as hell.
Yeah. But, and then Hans Zimmer just smashing every instrument.
Hans Zimmer.
And mostly just that one person's voice.
Jessica Ferguson as
Rebecca Ferguson.
Rebecca
Ferguson is so good at everything on camera.
She nailed.
There isn't a Rebecca Ferguson situation like of anything that I'm like, yeah, she's awesome.
She's great. Dude, what's his name? Wrestler. Oh my goodness.
Dave Bautista.
Great. Dave Bautista, man. Shouts out Dave Bautista, the only actual good actor, wrestler turned actor.
Yeah, I mean, he is legitimately a good actor. I would say, I do think his best.
Don't you dare.
His best Mr. V performance is Blade Runner 2049. I think that's his best performance ever. And I think it's a really big reason why that entire movie works is that scene. It's so important and he's so perfect for it. But man, he's good. He's fun.
He was great.
Yeah.
God.
Good movie.
Jesus, good movie, man.
Danny, once you read the books, I'm probably not for a podcast, but we should talk about it.
We will.
Because man, especially if you go past the third one, which I did not. It gets wild.
We'll see.
It gets wild.
I am getting like mixed opinions. Just searching up like which Dune books do I need to read? Just that quick search.
Lots of
50-50, like, nope, stupid. Yes, you should totally read them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start with the first three, and then we'll see how I feel after.
Go from there. Bye.
Is that
it? I don't know.